Hello, everyone, and welcome to the second part of the Czech National Digital Skills and Jobs Coalition community-led event. Some of you may know me, but for those of you who don't, my name is Josef Dashek, and I'm the coordinator of the Czech National Coalition, or DigiKoalice, as we call it. We have named our second event, Digital Skills, the Way Forward for Distance Learning in Czechia, and we look forward to the fruitful discussion in the individual breakout rooms with all of you. But before that, before we split into the individual breakout rooms based on concrete topics, we have here some participation guidelines. So please keep yourself on mute when you are not speaking, and update your name to include your organization. It will make easier for us to know who is here and who is not. Also, I would like to remind you that the session is being recorded, as you may notice from your displays. Please, if you would have anything to add, anything to comment on, any suggestions, any questions, please put them in the chat, and we will answer that later on. Now, please, if we can move, or if I can present the agenda. So before we split into the individual breakout rooms, we have a welcoming and opening of the event from the Czech MEP, Mr. Luděk Niedermayer, who made time in his busy schedule for opening our event. We also we then move to the presentation of the survey results, which will be presented by Brendan from the Digital Skills and Jobs Coalition Secretariat. Then we would move to the panel debate, the only panel debate for today, which will be on the topic of the role of innovation in distance learning. And it is my pleasure to welcome here our distinguished guests, Mr. Majtan, Mrs. Kosatíková, and Mr. Stransky. Thank you very much for being here with us today. And the panel will be moderated by my great colleague, Lucka Gregurková. And then we would move to the interactive session or discussion session, where we will split into the individual breakout rooms and discuss the proposed approaches to improve the distance learning through digital skills in Czechia. So that's the agenda for today. And of course, then we would make a brief summary of the outcomes from the breakout rooms, and I will make some very short closing remarks, I promise. And now it is my pleasure to welcome here, as I mentioned, the Czech MEP, Mr. Luděk Niedermayer. Thank you very much for being here with us today, and the floor is yours now. Thank you.
Thank you, and good afternoon to all. Thank you for your work and interest in IT education of our youngest generation. Let me also thank up in front organizers for inviting me to this event, as digitization and IT education is not my area of expertise, but rather hobby that is close to my heart. As a mathematician by profession, I have also done some programming back in the 90s, but since that, the world has changed dramatically. That's why I'm so happy that I can be part of the education of new young generation through programming clubs like Code Dojo, where I'm serving as a proud ambassador in the Czech Republic. But let me start a little bit more general way. Pandemic is a tragic event. It took life of millions, harmed health, destroyed our way of life, and removed false sense of the safety. It created unprecedented stress for people, families, firms, society, economy, and the states. In course of the weeks, we have to find a way how to first live in new, very restricted environment, and secondly, how to keep up with families, jobs, and businesses, and how to make them going. Sometimes the speed of reaction due to creativity and flexibility of our people, firms, businesses was fascinating. Sometimes we are still struggling with very essential pandemic tasks, especially if talking about function performed by states like ours. But in many, if not most success stories, IT and digital technology played major role. High quality of use of so-called new technologies, and I still wonder if we should still call them new technologies, merge with at least some level of IT skills of people, or other firms or state, and this was precondition of good, innovative and flexible solutions, or just proper reaction to supply to increase of demand and reaction of the supply. This will not go away with the pandemics. I mean the knowledge and effective use of new technologies. In future, I believe those who have such a skills will be winners in many key fields. Not just people, but also firms, but as well as the states. That's why IT education is so important. At the end of last August, weeks before a new tragic wave of pandemics has started in our country, I wrote an article about opportunities that were put on light of pandemics in schooling. I called the project eSchooling 1.9. Recently, I have read an interview with our Minister of Education that actually is rumored to be removed by our Prime Minister soon. And I saw that I'm not the only one who believes that we should learn in our schools through these tragic events. How to do it? Almost a year of online schooling have shown incredible flexibility among teachers and students. We should build on that. It make them also to work out what is essential part of curriculum and what is less important or even not important at all. I also would like to mention the survey among teachers which we did with the help of Human in Need at the beginning of the year about the teachers' experience with distant learning. The conclusions were similar to what was said in the first event of Digital Coalition 2 weeks ago. Many teachers did not feel needed support from state in the first week, but they were learning from each other and the parents. This is not surprising when we consider how technologically advanced the Czech institutions themselves are and how ill-prepared we were for the crisis. But still, currently, the biggest problem for them is how to keep the students engaged in e-learning. Personally, as a father of kids aged 13 and 15, I can see that pandemic is not just a huge loss for them, but also it represents the opportunity to do learning a different way and to learn the skills like teamwork and IT knowledge that would be highly desired in the future in the world they will be living. Months of pandemic schooling has shown that kids and students are capable of using regularly new technologies, and they can adapt to different kinds of work, and teachers can do it too. I'm sure our society has also enough resources to help those in need that cannot handle it themselves. So I hope the pandemic in scale as we see now will be soon over, but the good lessons and experience should be used in the years to come. Let me mention also one thing. Countries, especially those less rich like the Czech Republic, are now struggling with unusual problem. We will receive huge amounts of money to invest money that we should use to encourage recovery of our economy and to promote substantial modernization of the economy. I have read a lot of plans prepared by our government, but I must say that they are very short in concrete idea. I hope that people like you will be able to talk to them and will find the way how to use the resources that we will get in months to come the most effective way. And part of that is obviously improving education of our kids. Thank you very much for the invitation, and I wish you an interesting meeting.
Thank you very much for your welcoming and very important and interesting words. Thank you, Mr. Niedermayer, one more time for being here with us and making the time in your busy schedule. And now, if you let me, I would like to pass the word to Brendan from the Digital Skills and Jobs Coalition Secretariat, who will present us the survey results, the results of the survey that we sent you after the first meeting, and also he's going to comment on these pop-up windows that are now appearing before you. Thank you, Brendan. The floor is yours.
Thanks very much, and thank you to the opening words as well. I think what I'd like to do today is not take up too much time, but to provide a little bit more context, as always, to what we're discussing here today. And I think, echoing some of the comments we've just heard, the questions that we have asked previously in format of a survey are very much related to making sure that these new approaches to learning are taken forward and finding out how we define what they are. So popping up on your screen is a small few quick polls that my colleagues will be monitoring to check in who's with us here today. And also alongside will be some of the questions that I'll be sharing with you now on my slides, just to see how we can compare the results to what we received and to the group here today. So if I can just share my screen, I think everyone can see that. I'm not going to try and ask the same question anyway. But the first kind of question that we asked was related around the developing cybersecurity skills, because in the last discussion that we had is one of the key areas of digital skills that is required by both students and teachers. And the key question is, how can students and teachers learn and develop these skills best? So for students, it was found that it was the most important way for it to be developed is to include it as part of the curriculum, which is their learning day to day. The other part is to be involved and be present in debates and sessions with experts, and also set up some contests. So set up a little bit of competition between the students and a capacity for them to demonstrate and develop their skills in that kind of environment. For the teachers, we also saw an area which was looking at debates with experts, but there's a bit of a difference. It's still believed from people who responded that teachers need external forces to develop these skills and to upskill themselves in the cyber security, and also more involvement in workshops. So no contest between teachers yet, as planned is for this area there. The other area that we're looking at was digital well-being. So kind of one of the key areas that we're looking at is the digital learning was effective digital learning. What is cybersecurity skills? And the third part is digital well-being. And the key areas that we found in terms of the responses that everyone gave in and their priorities is ensuring inclusion. And inclusion is a word that keeps coming up in these community-led events, and it means many different things. And it's ensuring fair access, it's ensuring equitable participation, ensuring that there's key activity across all social groups involved. It does require a change in culture. As we all have learned in the last few years, it's been a very difficult adjustment, and we need to make sure that we are keeping up with that and not forgetting the empathy that's required to ensure digital well-being amongst the students as they are learning digitally within it. One of the questions is, and I think this goes back to the question, to the statement earlier that, you know, we've moved on to distance learning. What is efficient distance learning approach? And there's three parts that appears to make up that. One is that enables meaningful interaction. So distance learning approach enables meaningful interactions both between the student and the teacher, but also student to student. And it's about facilitating that environment where the conversations are not focused on passing information, but actually having that two-way and co-generation. And to facilitate that, it makes the best use of digital tools. So digital tools are not there to support information being passed, but actually to allow that when there is one-on-one time or group time, that it is focused on those engagements. And the third part is that it facilitates all stakeholders around the learners. And that means involving parents, involving teachers, involving the students themselves, and making sure that the learner is completely involved. And the three areas that we found in the main obstacles that are presented is changing the mindset. And this comes from the student's point of view, from the teacher's point of view, ensuring that people have access to tools. And this comes down from basic access to devices, basic access to internet, but also looking at people having the skills that enables them to make best use of platforms and be able to engage with them directly. And also ensuring that there's social interaction. And that's actually an obstacle here as well, going back to the empathy and digital well-being. And the final thing we wanted to look at was, where can the National Coalition participate? It's in the area of cybersecurity and the area of digital well-being. Both areas, the coalition can provide an online repository. They can also provide communication channels for different initiatives and areas in that field. But in the cybersecurity, regional campaigns were seen as one area, while differently in digital well-being, meetups are proposed. And of course, today we're here having a digital meetup. and hopefully this will be able to be done in person. So the last of the questions of the polls should be coming up, and thank you all very much. And any questions, happy to discuss in the intervening parallel sessions.
Thank you, Brendan, for presenting the results, and thank you all for also joining the live survey that we are running. And just for all of you to know that that we will keep our short survey still open even after today's event, so that we will be more than happy if you can participate and add some answers to that, but more on that later. And now